Assalamu alaikum. This is Dr. Abdullah Laghari. I'm very delighted to be the part of this fourth international conference on international law and legal policy. And today's conference is going to be very useful for all of you. And in today's talk, I will be talking about the significance of cooperative pedagogy. In modern world, gone are the days when there used to be traditional teaching methods and traditional teachers used to be dominant in the classroom. As a result, reducing the cooperation, reducing the interaction among the learners. So the consequences of traditional teaching methods were not as much beneficial as they should be. As a result, teacher used to be dominant in the classroom and teacher used to control everything in the classroom. This minimized the role of a student. As a result, one of the most important or useful pedagogies that we say is useful, are helpful, very effective is cooperative pedagogy. In today's talk, I will be highlighting the importance of cooperative pedagogy and how can the classroom situation be by using the principles of and the foundations of cooperative pedagogy, and what can be the impact of cooperative pedagogy in language and teaching situations at educational levels. So let's begin our talk. So let's talk about what cooperative pedagogy actually is. You can see the term cooperative. It's all about cooperation. Cooperation is when all the units get together, when all the students get together, when students are actively engaged and teacher is, skillfully utilizing their students into goal-oriented tasks, then it's cooperative pedagogy. So it is an instructional strategy where small groups of learners work together to achieve shared learning goals. You know, every teaching has some objectives because teaching without objectives is useless. So those objectives can be achieved once students are actively engaged, once students are positively engaged in such meaningful dialogues, in such interactions, which turn out to be very beneficial for the students in terms of their learning outcomes. Cooperative pedagogy also emphasizes interdependence, where students depend on each other. So once there is a collaboration, once they are cooperating with each other, in case of pairs, in case of group discussions, in case of, one-to-one discussions also. So they are relying on one another. As a result of this reliance, they do what? For example, they reduce their fear factor, hesitation, anxiety. As a result, information gap is bridged, confidence level is built up, and critical thinking is it also gets a boost. Then it also makes individuals learners very active, because in traditional teaching method, when teacher is dominant, it's one way show. Students become very passive, hardly students sitting at the front batches, they participate in the classroom, and the rest of the students, the students in the middle one, the students at the back, they do not actively participate. As a result, there is passivity in the classroom, and which is never the concern of teaching and learning. Teaching is very useful once there is active participation of students in the class. And then it's shared accountability. Cooperative pedagogy ensures shared accountability in the sense that every student is given assigned a role in which they consider themselves accountable, accountable, responsible for the role they are assigned with. So by engaging them into particular roles, this turns out to be very beneficial for the students themselves, for their holistic development, for their academic grooming and growth also. And now let's imagine a class, when we are implementing is pedagogy, cooperative pedagogy. How does the classroom look like? You can see in the picture the students sitting together. They are discussing without any anxiety, without any fear factor, without any hesitation. This is what the concept of an ideal class is, where students are sitting together. They are reducing, the anxiety. They are reducing, even sometimes misunderstanding also. In one of my classes, I was in asking students, in a teamwork, one of the students opined that teamwork, group discussions, pair works, they turn out to be very helpful because one of the students had concern with another student and she had misunderstandings about a boy. And when they sat together, she said, okay, I had misunderstanding, but what he actually is, it's not the case. So, when students are working together as a team, as a single unit, misconceptions, misunderstandings, they also go away. See, what is the concept? For example, how does a class look like when every voice matters? When every student, their contribution matters. Because I believe that every student has got some ideas. They are very much creative. Students can give you innovative ideas teacher cannot think of. Sometimes we learn a lot from the students. Students teach each other. Yes, it's cooperative pedagogy. Once they're sitting together, they learn the things from themselves, from one another. It's learning from each other. And of course, learning is a shared journey. As I told you, learning is, or even teaching is not one-way traffic. It is two-way traffic. There has to be interaction. Something has to come from the teacher side and something has to come from the student side. Once it is, and even when teacher is engaging the learners, they are working together as a team, then they can learn. And learning is such a journey where you need to share, where you need to engage or divide your students into some particular tasks. Teacher becomes facilitator in cooperative pedagogy. Of course, the role of teacher is a facilitator even in 21st century. The successful and the most effective teachers are those who facilitate the process of learning, who facilitate group discussions, who facilitate, negotiations, panel discussions, critical tasks also. They engage students into some creative role plays. And that is why we say the teacher's role as a facilitator is the most effective one. And such tasks are goal oriented, because once the tasks are goal oriented, they, in cooperative pedagogy, teachers has something in mind. They set some objectives, and at the end of those discussions, our role plays, are divided roles among the students. They lead to the objectives, and those objectives are very much goal oriented. See, and then the one of the most important components of critical cooperative pedagogy is needs analysis, because unless you analyze the needs of the students, it's impossible. It's hard, I can say. It's hard to know the existing level of proficiency of our students. So in order to ensure the level of students and design a course that should be up to the expectations and needs of the students, needs analysis is very much important, which is integrated in cooperative pedagogy. Let me tell you what cooperative pedagogy actually is. Cooperative pedagogy is actually a learning approach based on collaboration, which ensures that students should engage, should have a dialogue, should have a negotiation, a sort of negotiation, discussions among them, so that they can boost up their confidence, critical thinking, and creative skills also. In cooperative pedagogy, students learn with and from each other. Learning, because is, of course, it's a teamwork, and in that you need leadership also. Learning is a two-way traffic which requires more than one to ensure effective and outcome-based learning. Of course, even if we talk of achievement of some target, it's impossible with a one person. You're working in isolation. Gone are the days when the students, and even students that did not share their work, their discussions with others, are, for example, their objectives. But in the modern century, it's all about engagement. The more you engage, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more you open are in the class and for discussions. And this is how you achieve the objectives in, the class. Learning is associated with collaboration. Of course, it's all about collaboration. Let's have a look here. You can see that when you talk about cooperative learning, see, you can see these individuals, all these individuals, they are focused on one thing, and their directions are at the one and only target destination which they are supposed to achieve in cooperative pedagogy. It has got some components, some elements. For example, the very first one is positive interdependence. What positive interdependence is, it means that the success of each individual within a group is linked to the success of entire group. Of course, when one becomes successful, it's a success of the team as a whole, creating a sense of shared responsibility and mutual support. If one becomes successful, again, there are some hands, again, there is a contribution of the team as a whole, all the members equally participate, and then one representing the team as a group becomes successful is a success of the team as a whole. It's a core principle of cooperative learning where individuals realize that they need each other to achieve a common objective. Number two is equal participation. Equal participation in its simplest form means that everyone has the same opportunities to take part in an activity or process. It's about ensuring fairness and inclusion regardless of background or status. This concept is crucial in various contexts, including political processes, workplaces, and social interactions. In an education scenario, equal participation is very important. Once everybody is assigned role and within the time frame, this ensures that every student is important for a teacher. It's not the one student, it's on the front benches. It's not, only the talented students which are the concern of teaching, are they are very closer to teachers. It's not the case. So cooperative pedagogy ensures that there should be equal participation in the classroom. Simultaneous interaction. Simultaneous interaction in education context refers to multiple individuals engaging in communication or activity at the same time. This contrasts with sequential interaction where only one person speaks or acts at a time. In a classroom, simultaneous interaction can involve group work, pair work, or even whole class activities where multiple sentences are actively participating concurrently. In cooperative pedagogy, a teacher can engage learners into multiple tasks. It's not the one task only, multiple. For example, it can be a group work, it can be pair work, it can be the individual work also. Depends on the nature of the activity, depends the objectives teacher has set for the particular class. Now let's talk about the key principles of cooperative pedagogy. So the very first principle of cooperative pedagogy is positive interdependence. Here, students rely on each other to succeed. One cannot succeed unless all do. Of course, as I said, so you have to depend on each other in a classroom. Students are supposed to rely on each other. It's purely the teamwork. It's not the effort of one man, one student, one individual. Working in isolation cannot generate that much effectiveness as it can in a teamwork. Secondly, individual accountability. Each member is responsible for contributing and mastering the material because they are engaged accordingly. Face-to-face interaction, students discuss, explain, and teach each other. Once it is face-to-face interaction, they are discussing, they are having an eye contact with one another. This becomes very effective and this becomes very dynamic also. That makes students very effective, very active, and energetic too. Interpersonal and small group skills, teamwork, communication, leadership, and conflict resolution are developed. Such skills are also, for example, teamwork is very important, and students learn how to work in a team, how to work in collaboration, and how can communication skills be developed, how leadership skills can be ensured, and how the conflicts can be resolved. Conflict resolution, conflict management, communication, leadership, all are possible through cooperative pedagogy. Students, once they get engaged in discussions, for example, in 60 minutes, in 1 hour class, if they are engaged, they are speaking all the time. Most of them, it's they've got their own peers. It's a peer learning. They are discussing together. Of course, they will be improving their communication skills also because it's practice. They are engaged in a sort of practice. Group processing teams reflect on their performance and identify improvements. Of course, you know, learning is all about a process. Once they are the part of this process, they are performing. Certainly, there'll be improvements also. So, why do you use cooperative pedagogy? This figure clearly tells us, the red one is the very beginning, yellow one is a second step, and this greenish one is one step ahead, and the bluish one seems to be the target. In cooperative pedagogy, when you're starting from the quite zero, once the process is initiated, that leads to, some objectives. Let's say they are short-term objectives. Once the short-term objectives are achieved, they move towards, they lead us to the long-term objectives. Long-term objectives eventually leads us to the accomplishment of our destination or the task we have been working on. So cooperative pedagogy boosts engagement. There's engagement, very positive engagement among the students, builds communication skills. Once students get engaged in, of course, in communication, they are building their confidence. It encourages the peer teaching as well, supports inclusive learning. Learners are learning from all aspects are holistically, improves retention also. They become very energetic, the energy that they have. For example, there are very interesting tasks in the classroom. For the other day, they are assigned the same tasks. There will be excitement. There will be dynamic posture on the part of learners. So what's the difference between cooperative and collaborative pedagogy? Cooperative is a sort of structured or teacher directed, and it assigns students structured roles within the time frame, and these roles are directed by the teacher. Teacher monitors each and every role, visits the students, sees their performance, how their improvement is going on, how much engagement is taking place, what is it that confuses students. And in this way, he approaches them and resolves those issues because cooperative learning is ensuring cooperation among the learners. Whereas collaborative, it is a sort of flexible learning. Students are assigned flexible roles, and it is student-directed discussions in which students are, performing as the representatives. See, when we say collaborative learning is a broader term encompassing any situation where students work together to learn, while cooperative learning is a specific type of collaborative learning characterized by structured activities. As I told you, activities are well planned, they are structured, and small group interactions and both individual and group accountability in which students are assigned with some particular tasks. Now, if in cooperative pedagogy some barriers emerge, how to deal with those barriers? For example, one of the barriers can be unequal participation. In order to avoid this one, structured roles can be used in the classroom. Yes, of course, time management can be the issue when you're assigning the role in an hours class. It's really hard to achieve those objectives within the time limits. So you as a teacher are supposed to set clear time limits. For example, it's 1 hour class, set activities accordingly, and there should be some specific time. If there are 3 activities, for example, one activity takes 20 minutes, other one 20, and the third one 20 also. Similarly, time is very important. That is to be set in each activity. That is how the time could be managed in that. Off-task behavior, yes, if accountability checks are created, that will also be overcome. So cooperative pedagogy, it's a sort of collaboration, it's a sort of teamwork where equity and inclusion are ensured. It's a powerful tool for deep learning. It enhances students' agency. Students become the active roles, active agents, and it fosters essential 21st century skills. It's much needed in the current time because teachers, if it are educational settings, if there are more engagements, if the tasks assigned in the classroom are teacher directed, they become very effective and very outcome based. So thank you very much for listening. I'll be delighted to find your feedback. Thank you so much. So cooperative pedagogy, conclusively, cooperative pedagogy is much needed in 21st century. Is students of modern world need cooperation amongst one another. And gone are the days when teacher used to be dominant and he used to control each and everything in the classroom, which was not as much helpful as the cooperative pedagogy is. Cooperative pedagogy is much needed in every educational context. Teachers adopting this sort of pedagogy become very effective, dynamic, and successful because the successful teaching is when the set objectives are achieved at the end and there are positive learning outcomes on the part of learners. Thank you so much.